Celtic fans view this morning. And yes, I do have a live feed of the Vatican. Today. Because I'm interested in it more than anything. Because I am interested in it. I'm just checking. There we go, that's all fine. There's a bit of Celtic news kicking about this morning. Quite a bit of Celtic news, actually. Kasper Schmeichel, the big one first. Kasper Schmeichel is back in business. He's almost ready. And it poses the question, I'm going to put a poll up actually. Start a poll. To Kasper. After his injury. Back onto this. Let's just do this poll. And keyboard here. So I was going to be asking the question this morning. This morning's question is: Should Kasper Schmeichel walk straight back into the first team? Sinisalo, for me, has been absolutely perfect. Should Kasper Schmeichel come back for the final? Should he take his place, the number one position, back on the team? I think it's an interesting question. Sinisalo's done nothing wrong. Sinisalo is the future of Celtic Football Club. He's the player that Celtic see as the man to take over from Kasper Schmeichel in the future. So it begs the question, should he walk straight back into the team for the final? He is the player that got us to the final. I've news on too, waiting for the white or black smoke. Well, I've got the live feed on. You can't do much better than that. That's the live feed coming from the Vatican. So there we go. I thought it was important that we had that on this morning. Obviously, Kasper in possession, holds the jersey, but he's not been playing, has he? He's been injured, and if it was an outfield player. You wouldn't suggest that they would walk back into the first team to knock the player out. I mean, Sinisalo's done nothing wrong. He's made some fantastic saves. And it's a hard one for Brendan. It is a hard one. Will Sinisalo know that Brendan will pull rank and say that Kasper will come back in and walk into the team for the final? Even though the last game of the season, it'll be Sinisalo. For the last games of the season, it'll be Sinisalo. And I just feel that it's... I mean, if it was Scott Bain that was number 2, and it was Scott Bain that was playing, I would say, fuck yes, all day long. But I just feel that if we want to make sure that Sinisalo knows that he is the future of the club, wouldn't it be a more fitting way to bring Kasper back in and put Kasper on the bench? I don't know. Brendan Rodgers will make that decision, obviously, but it's a good talking point. Celtic Girl says that she's got the news on too, waiting for the white or black smoke. We had black smoke last night on the live. I didn't have the live feed like what I've got here, but I've put the live feed up this morning of the Vatican, and with a bit of luck we might get some white or black smoke when we're live on air this morning. I'm going to stick around for about an hour because I've already been away to the airport this morning. First of 2 trips to the airport today. David says, Jack Ryan says, first of all, he's just got back from Portugal, went to the Estadio Nacional. David says, I said yes, but it's simply because Kasper is number 1. He's been great all season and here for the big games. Yes, Conclave has started. That's why I've got the live feed to the Vatican. It has started already this morning. They would have started just not so long ago. Nice one, Jason Lee. Richard says, but when I think about it, put a ball boy in goals. We're going to get embarrassed Aberdeen. I'm not too sure about that. I'm not sure about that. Next year, I would play Casper in the SPFL and the Champions League in Sinisalo in the two Scottish Cups, like all big clubs do, says David. That's fair point. I thought they would have done that this season, to be honest. I thought there was a chance that we could have done that this season with Sinisalo. Hey, shaved it again. That's fucking, Jesus, look rough as fuck, don't it? It's terrible. That's because I had to get up early with the airport and never had time to shave this morning. But anyway, yeah, I think that they done that a few years ago with Scott Bain, didn't they? Celtic. They did that a few years ago with Scott Bain. They let him play the games off the back of the cup games. I think Sinisalo is one, now that Brendan Rodgers has the full trust of the player. I think that, he believes in the player. I think that that's maybe a good shout. Les Watts says no one should walk straight into the team. Jason Lee says I'm a proddy, but I do enjoy the rituals and the majesty of the Catholic Church. I've got to say, having moved to a Catholic country that celebrates everything, Catholicism in Scotland is not practiced, I would say, even 20% the way it is in European countries. Not even 20%. I'm going to say that. Only because I was brought up. I feel cheated being brought up Catholic in Scotland, to be honest. And I said that to the missus. I absolutely love the way that they celebrate everything in this country. I mean, Mass is still a massive thing. I know we're digressing. Mass is still a massive thing here. The churches are still full every weekend. Something that doesn't happen back in Scotland or the UK. I mean, you get the English church and the Church of Scotland selling off property left, right and centre. When you can go into the smallest village in Spain, and we've done it. You go into a wee small village up in the hills, and it's amazing the inside of the chapels. Absolutely amazing. I mean, most of the chapel land was stolen from the Moors years ago. You have to get that. You have to remember that as well. But anyway, we digress. We get back to Celtic. So we've spoken about Kasper Schmeichel this morning, and there is a vote already. It's a big day for votes. Seemingly, the Vatican's having one right now, so we should have a vote as well on this channel. Should Kasper Schmeichel walk back into the team? I'm going to keep that running. Baz was in Torrux the past 2 Easters. It was amazing. Great procession. Joseph, I was in Torrux at the weekend, as you know, if you're on the channel. It's a fantastic place. Fantastic place. We're now looking to... Better not say that in public just yet. Spain isn't as strict Catholic as it was in the 1980s. Yeah, because Richard, that's because it was still coming off the back of the dictatorship, and Franco made sure that Spain was ultra conservative Catholic, and that was the one way that he knew that, and that's why he lasted so long as a dictator. Because he had the backing of the church, But that's a whole different story. Spain's completely different from the right wing dictatorship that it had back then. Although some people, and you know about it, it's something that I think about when you hear Celtic fans singing a certain song, and they still have the belief that, especially Madrid, is a right-wing fascist place, when it's not actually. Madrid's probably a bit more cosmopolitan than Edinburgh, I would say, and so is Spain. It's getting really cosmopolitan, the country, which I love. But anyway, that's a talk for another day on another channel, more than likely. Big Des says, hope you're good today, brother. I am that. So yes, that's all about Kasper. We've done that. Celtic have previously went for a striker, David Strelic. Slovan Bratislava striker. Celtic did put in a bid for $7 million for him in the December window when they decided to sell Kyogo Furuhashi. But the Slovans didn't want him to leave just then. Strelic was interested in the move to Celtic at that time. He kind of spat the dummy out the next day. Yeah, it is, Joseph. It is. We spent a good few days down there at the weekend. I could talk about that all day, but yeah, I shouldn't. Not on the Celtic channel. So Celtic did put a £7 million bid in for Strelic in the previous window. Is he a player that Celtic will go back for? I think that there's more chances of going for Strelic now than there is the Brøndby player, purely for the fact that I think that the valuation that Brøndby now have set on Matthias, I think that Celtic are now thinking it's getting a bit too pricey, and I think that it will be, they won't see the maximum return on their investment. I don't know. It's just a feeling I've got. The fact that they did put in a £7 million for the other player. And the funny thing is, both Strelic and Matthias, David and Matthias, are both on about 25 goals this season. So I think Celtic will be sitting saying, do we flip a coin and see which one comes out best? It's going to come down to the money. It is, you know what Celtic are like. They're going to want to spend as little money as possible on players. John says he watched Strelic a few times. Looks not too bad. Does that. Stephen Johnson says, good morning everyone. He's late today. Don't worry, Stephen. I was a couple of minutes late setting up the live. We must have some draw for good players. Who wouldn't want to play for Celtic? I'd give him a right leg. Wouldn't be very good after it, mind, says Les Watts. I don't think that it's not Celtic that is the issue. It's not Celtic that's the issue. Let's be perfectly honest. It's the people who watch Celtic. This is where Celtic have got an issue. We're speaking about the standard of the league, the standard of the SPFL, and the low block. And people who watch those games, is Lenny Miller no longer an option? Well, he was asked the question. I'm going to come on to that in a minute. That's I've still got that to come on. He was actually in he's in the thumbnail, is he not? He is on the thumbnail. When you look at players, when players look at coming to the club, and they know there's a kind of they get a hint of it a couple of months before. Do you know that Celtic might be there or about? They're maybe interested. So then the player starts watching Celtic games. And then some players could watch Celtic games and go, fuck me, what a shit league. All the other teams do is sit back and Celtic have got to pass the ball about in front of them. And that can maybe put players off. I think that players sitting looking at that can go, do you know, where's the game in that? Do you know, trying to just break the other team's not having a go. You want to have that bit of, do you know, with other players. And the fact it only happens when you go to Hearts, when you go to Hibs, you go to Aberdeen away, when you go to Sevco land. Do you know, that's only four. Well, it's 8 away games a season, the way the stupid league plays, but it's only really four stadiums that you go to with other clubs. Try and have a little bit of a go. And I think that other players will seriously look at that and go, do you know what, it's all good going to Celtic, but I think I'm going to go to the German league where it's a bit more competitive. And that's what it comes down to. It's the competitiveness of the league. It is the competitiveness of the league that people will look at. As we just check out the Vatican, just make sure there's no smoke. We need to spend to replace Callum in 2 years max, so might as well spend the money now and get him settled. That takes us, we're going to need a bigger league. I've said it for years, I think we should have a bigger league, but the SPFL, in all their wisdom, decided not to make it a bigger league, so we're at the status quo. We're at status quo for the next couple of years. And the reason that they wanted to protect the status quo is for derbies. They come out and said it. And I think that's disgusting. I think it's disgusting. It's not thinking of the product. What's wrong with the SPFL? We're going down a rabbit hole here today. What's wrong with the SPFL is it is very much a closed shop. It's a monopoly. We'd be able to say what it is. It's the mafia. It's the Scottish mafia. And they don't want to share the spoils, the richness. Do you know? We've got our nice little comfort zone. As long as we don't finish in 10th position, we're all comfortable. You know, there'll be clubs that go down, there'll be clubs that come up, and we want to keep the 4 derbies because they're the games that get that wee bit extra fans coming in. We know the clubs in question. It's fucking Hibs, it's Hearts, it's Dundee United, and fucking Rangers. Sorry for swearing, especially on the day that the Pope's getting voted in. But that's the reality. That's the reality of Scottish football. When you've got those teams that are hell bent on keeping so many games a season, it holds back. I'm going to say, I think it holds back. Do you think? Well, Celtic are at the top of the table. We do hold the monopoly of control, and Celtic are we're at the go point, and we're also at the point where we fucking send them to jail. So if we're on the go point, we've got the most property on the monopoly board, and that's the reality of Scottish football as well. But anyway, we're just going to rabbit hole this morning. But it's fine, it's all fine, because the missus is sitting in the airport. She's just sent me a picture sitting in the airport having a pint. Sorry about that. The picture came up on the screen. She's sitting having a pint in the airport. I'll be doing it next week for the last game of the season. Anyway, with Partick Thistle, Zizo, Dave Hislop says, what about Black and what are you talking about? I'm talking about the Pope. Hitman Hart, exactly. The Bundesliga had one team that dominated forever until recently, but then they'll play flowing football. I need to go confession later. I think that it is the managers that we have in at other clubs. And it is the fact that the managers at other clubs in Scotland and the owners of the club have got one objective, and that's to stay in the SPFL. Interesting comment there from Hitman. Same as Spain, Madrid and Barca winning the league. Do you know what? There was a time that Valencia was up there doing great things, but the owner of, Valencia are on the verge of getting relegated nearly. The owner of Valencia wouldn't pump any more money in, and he wanted to he just kept on taking money out of the club. So it happens in all leagues. And then you get somewhere like Granada getting a team. You know, Almeria were in the league. This year, was it last year? Almeria. It's just a tiny little place. But you don't get the Spanish. The Spanish don't complain about going to these other teams. They've got a bigger league. They don't complain about having to play Almeria, having to play flipping Granada. Do you know what I mean? They know that that's the league, and they deal with it. And the fact that they fly, because of the size of the bloody country, they fly everywhere they go. Anyway, Liam says, I don't care what anyone says, less fans at Glasgow derbies is pathetic. Okay, less of them at Celtic Park is great, but there was something about that wall of blue that made it different. Liam, I've said for years, I think that we all know the reason that the SPFL didn't clamp down on it before they did. And it wasn't really the SPFL, it was an agreement between Celtic and them. Talks with the fact that they shat themselves and they didn't like the bigger away fans. It'll be interesting to see if they say the fact that Celtic fans were singing their song before the game. They blasted out Simply the Best to try and drown out the Celtic fans from singing. But Celtic fans sung Simply the Best. The irony of that is totally lost on that lot. The irony of that is lost on that lot, which is fantastic as far as I'm concerned. And I've seen some clown on Twitter, a Celtic site put, we've stolen their song. And a Rangers fan replied, we've stole your huddle. And I'm like, Jesus Christ. He's putting a picture up for fucking 25 years ago. Why is the camera just moved? What's the camera doing? Come on, I don't want to see the sky. What is the camera doing? Somebody's decided to fly the drone. Bring back proper football than watching anti-football, sitting deep and passing from the back. Inter Barca, that was some game, best game in a long time. Yep. And now we're going to get some random dude. You're on the Celtic fans' view. They can't even sing anymore. That's going to go. God's going to appear. They better not change the cameras. I'm going to have to swap screen. Not there, it's back. Jesus, it's a bit fucking close, isn't it? That's a right close-up of the Sistine Chapel chimney. Bloody hell. I remember folk, Baz, I went onto the website to try and get finals tickets, VIP tickets for Aberdeen side. £1,400 each for the Celtic end, and a Celtic end, £1,000 a ticket. Do you know, that's the one thing about the SFA, is they sell tickets to these companies that just fucking make so much profit out of the game. It's unbelievable. It is unbelievable. I'm sure Celtic will be doing a package. Celtic usually do a corporate package where you get the bus that leaves from Celtic Park. Tina was singing about them in the 1990s, 35 years ago. Today Tina's singing about us. I've been dying for us to steal that tune for years and years. It's 100% ours, says Liam. The thing is we've sang that at Ibrox before. I've been at Ibrox where the Celtic fans have outsung Simply the Best. That's not the first time. It's not the first time that we've outsung them with Simply the Best. It happened the last time Brendan was here. And that's one of the reasons. That's one of the reasons that they wanted... They wanted us out the stadium. Sorry, I'm just watching the picture. I'm going to hate it. Wait a second. I'm going to have to go into this. Oh no, it's just a one big screen they've got. They had 4 different cameras. But it's now the one screen, so the vote isn't going to happen anytime soon by the looks of it. They're just, I could probably change that picture a bit because, no, it's just the same on the main screen. Interesting. Right. So, should Kasper Schmeichel walk straight back into the first team is the vote on the poll. Will it be another poll? Should he walk straight back into the first team? 55% say yes, 45% say no. I've sat in Snake Mountain, some laugh. In fact, it is some laugh. The drone is looking for the Celtic Championship flag. Do you know what would be hilarious if Paul the Tim trumped up he's waving "We Are the Champions" flag, singing "Simply the Best" in St. Peter's Square in Rome today. Kasper should retain his starting spot, says Jason Lee. So, with that being said, when it comes to strikers, we spoke about David Strelick, the fact that Celtic could get him for around about 7 to 10 million, in the region of 7 to 10 million. I think there's more chance I'm going for him rather than Matthias. Now, up to Lennon Miller. Lennon Miller, who was also up for Young Player of the Year, who missed out to the one and only Celtic player that is the most expensive Celtic player of all time. Arne Engels, 11 million down the drain, and he scores again. Lennon Miller has been a standout for Motherwell, and he's captained the side. He's been out injured. He got injured just before the transfer window closed in December. Even though he was injured, Celtic still inquired about bringing Miller to Celtic. That was knocked back by Motherwell at the time, but Lennon Miller was asked. His contract is up at the end of next season, said Miller, and so a move, I would say, potential move this summer. If they want to cash in Motherwell, they will do it this summer. But they need to do it this summer or he'll walk away for nothing. And I can't see Motherwell allowing Lennon Miller to walk away for absolutely nothing. But he was asked the question, will he be a Motherwell player at the beginning of next season? And Lennon Miller replied even, honestly, I don't know. I don't even ask my agent. I just let him deal with it. We've got 3 games to go left of this season. My main focus is to pick up points for Motherwell and see where it takes us. Now, the interesting part of that comment by Lennon Miller was, I don't even ask my agent. That means there's talks going on in the background. That means there is talks going on in the background. And those talks will be with Motherwell, obviously, to try and see if they can extend the vote. Extend the vote. I'm fucking Jesus watching the Vatican. Extend the stay. I'm looking at the poll on the telly and I'm looking at the Vatican and I've got his polls and votes in my head and it's just like, fuck's sake. Lennon Miller, I think he would be a fantastic addition to the Celtic squad. And I think that he would be potentially a future captain of the club. And he could be the mainstay of the club for years to come, unless he sees himself playing at a higher level. Now, what Lennon Miller and his dad will do, he'll say, well, look at the Scottish players that have went over to Italy and that have made a name for themselves in Italy. I think Lennon Miller's maybe a bit young to do that as yet. But what Lennon Miller could do is come to Celtic, make a name for himself in the Champions League, and then, if his heart desires, move on to a top 5 league, since that seems to be the inward moment this year. Inward moment, the in phrase this year, a top 5 league. Even though nobody in Scotland spoke about that before, but anyway. Let me just see, just talk through these comments. All the people there just now, New Pope, they're mad. Said Lanky. It's not mad, Lanky. There'll be even more once they get an inclination that he's coming out. That was the wrong word to say. Once he's been elected, there'll be thousands more. To be fair, if the missus wasn't flying home today, I would have flew over. It's one of those things that you want to... There's certain things in life that you want to witness. And I think that being in Rome for the vote and just soaking up the atmosphere, I just think it's one of those things that I would love to see. I would love to see. Jump back into the comments. Hope for a change of shape of next season. 2 strikers up front, said Richard. Lennon is a good player, but he won't get much game time for us, so highly doubtful he will join us. How will he not, Lanky? Because you're working on the premise that we keep Rio Hatate. You're working on the premise that we keep Rio Hatate. And if Celtic if Brendan Rodgers really wants to build a legacy, you've got to remember, Brendan Rodgers could walk away at the end of next season, which I still think there's a high potential that he will. Brendan Rodgers might get to the summer and then next season, and if he's not signed an extension contract with Celtic, he might turn around and say, do you know what, I've done all I can at Celtic. I've done the treble again. I've got us as far as I think we can get in the Champions League. And do you know, we need to be very careful that Brendan Rodgers might say, look, I said I would come back for 3 years, and I've done that. Do you know, I've nothing to prove. And fans can't say anything because I said that I would stay here for 3 years, and I've done that. And I think I've taken the club as far as I can take them. And I think I'm leaving them. And what he will, the way that he will put it, is that he thinks that he'll leave the club in a better position than what it was when he joined. And bringing in the likes of Lennon Miller would be part of that legacy. Do you know, bringing in and having a squad that's all under 25, the mainstay of a squad that's all under 25, which would allow the next manager to get the full fruition of those players. Because I don't think that Brendan Rodgers will get to see the full quality of how far. I mean, if Arne Engel stays at the club for 4 years, Brendan Rodgers won't stay at the club for another 4 years. He's not going to get the benefit. Ange to come back? Not a chance. Not a chance. I'm sorry, but I wouldn't take Ange Postecoglou back if he came and begged like a bitch at the front door. No chance. And I don't mean that in a nasty way. I just mean it in a European context. I think that he got lucky with Tottenham. But when you look at him in the league in England, he's not going to leave. He's not going to leave Spurs anyway. I don't think. Who cares? Who cares? He's in the past. I think he'll stay longer if he talks. He talks about the Champions League. John, it's an interesting one because if he takes us to the same point next season in the Champions League, and if he maybe gets us, say he gets us finishing 8th in the league, miraculously gets us finishing 8th in the league, and we get automatic qualification to the last 16. We play the game in the last 16. Ultimately, that's as far as we could go. Maybe if we get a good result, we get lucky, we can get to the last 8 of the Champions League. And maybe you're right. Maybe Brendan Rodgers will want to stay to see if he can push himself to that last 16. Do you know, maybe a last 8 if we get lucky. He's spoken about it before. He says that, you know, you have to get lucky. When a club the size of Celtic, in financial terms, I don't mean in sort of fan base and stuff. I mean, in financial terms, when you look at a club like Celtic, he knows that you need a little bit of luck. You need to be riding your luck to get to last 8 of the Champions League. You know, you've got to have fantastic players at the top of their game, a squad that's been together for 2 or 3 years. And maybe that's what he is trying to build. Maybe that's what he is trying to build. And so that when he hands over the reins to someone else, they've got a better start than him. Ange has already said he wouldn't return to Celtic. It would never happen, said Paul Baird. This is true. He did say that. I wanted Enzo before Brendan joined, said Lanky. I think a lot of people wanted Enzo as well, but the man upstairs said no. Loving the 2 pigeons just sitting on the roof of the Vatican going, what the fuck? Who can we shit on? I think Ange would prefer Europe or international football. Yeah, Les, there's no chance of him going to a European team. I think Ange did say that he was devastated when he didn't get the job in Greece, remember? He was devastated when he didn't get the job in Greece. So, and then he got the Celtic job 2 days later. So I think it'll be interesting to see if... Why is there a wee random flag going past the bottom? And will go back to Japan. Nah, I don't think he'll go back to Japan. I don't think there's a team in Japan that he would fancy going to. Anyway, there's 139 votes in. Should Casper walk back into the Celtic team? 46% of you say yes. 54% say no, which is interesting. Let's see if we can get up to 200 votes this morning. Sitting at 139. There has been over 600 people on so far, so if you are just popping on for a few minutes because you're at your work, make sure you hit the vote button. Like he says, Enzo worked up Pep, so he knows football is about. He eats, sleeps. Yeah, he does. He's done well at Leicester. Baz watching from Playa del Morro. Scouted a few potential spots for watching the Hoops on Saturday. Whereabouts that? Lennon Miller may be a Celtic be Celtic FC Scottish captain. He could be. Ange will stay in the Premier League. Oh, says John. Ange would be unreal Olympiacos type team. It wouldn't surprise me if he went to Greece, actually. It wouldn't surprise me if he went to Greece, because he has said that he wants to retire to Greece. He has said that he wants to retire to Greece. Eric says Brendan's relationship with Desmond will be key if Brendan extends or not. I think that he's all Eric. I think that he's got a fantastic relationship with Brendan. I think that he trusts Dermot. He would trust him with his wife. Do you know? He'd trust him with his life. I think that there's no question about that relationship. I think the question then comes to... I'm going to go on about last summer's transfer window, and what will give it away this season is wait to see where pre-season takes us. If we do a pre-season camp like we did last year, and the media are consistently asking Brendan, what about this, what about that? And if Brendan once again this year, for the second year in a row, turns around and said, ask Nicholson and Chris Mackay. Because Brendan got very frustrated last summer. About the lack of movement. When he had already pre-qualified the players that he wanted, he told Nicholson and Mackay to get the deals done. He told them to hurry up and get the Adam Ida deal done. They were lackadaisical and pissed about. And then when Kyogo goes down, fucking shoulder again at the beginning, and we're all going, fuck, not his shoulder again. We've no other striker. Because we had Adam Ida on loan, and we got the deal done the next day. Brendan Rodgers was very sarcastic about that. Very sarcastic. And when he was asked about getting Adam Ida in, he was very sarcastic in his reply, saying, it's amazing how quick that deal got done. Well, it's a shock. Do you know what I mean? And it was like the kick up the arse that the board needed. And it was... Brendan Rodgers was very clever last summer with some of the answers that he gave to questions when it comes to the transfers. Because he did put the onus on Chris Mackay and Nicholson. He said, look, they deal with the transfer talks. They deal with the money side of it. They deal with getting the deal done. Brendan kind of alluded to, look, I would get on the phone and just fucking phone the player. Do you want to come to Celtic? Yes, deal done. What do you want? Right, perfect. He then hands it to Nicholson and Mackay, and they go, oh no, we can't give you that. We'll give you $5,000 less. Let's fucking barter about it. Fuck off. Pay him the fucking money, Brendan says. Pay him the fucking money and get them in. All right, and then they end up doing it anyway. It's a throwback to the days of a person that's not left the club, and that's Peter Lawwell. They were his sidekicks. Anyway, he's about to get very frustrated again this summer. Seen this movie before, said Liam. Yeah. Well, soon. I don't want to predict because... Let's just see how the summer plays out, and let's see what really happens with the transfers. If we start losing 5-6 players quite quick in the transfer window, and we're not reacting to that, and we're not bringing players in straight away, it says that they're once again going through their list, and you know, they've had months now to work on their list. They should know the type of player. They should know areas of the squad that needs strengthened for next season. They should have drawn up a short list of, right, I mean, we've already been linked with Aberdeen goalkeeper. Fantastic move, I think. Getting rid of Scott Bain, allowing him to go to Dunfermline. Neil Lennon looks like he's going to sign an extension with Dunfermline. They're trying to convince Victor to stay. If they can get Scott Bain in, that gives them a keeper with vast experience, one that Neil Lennon likes. So if that deal happens, getting the Aberdeen keeper in, who came through the ranks at Celtic, is a no-brainer. Get him on the bench behind Sinisalo. It also says to me that there's a potential that, you know, they've seen that injury with Kasper Schmeichel this season, and they're thinking, look, we better get a really good backup in for Sinisalo. And the Aberdeen keeper, the young boy at Aberdeen who came through the ranks at Celtic, who went to Forest Green or wherever it is, I think it'd be a fantastic deal. So they are already looking ahead, but it's how quick the board then act on the information that Brendan Rodgers and the football doctor have given them. I don't think Dermot will let... where did that one go? I don't think Dermot will let the Huns outspend us. Seasons, billionaires have big egos. There is... It's not about outspending. Celtic are in a position where we don't need to outspend them. Celtic are in a position where we can go out and buy 10 to 15 million pound players to make the club better. Do you know, well, they might say, oh, well, we'll show you the way in European football, lads. Well, we'll show you the way how to win domestic trebles, boys. It's all about standards, I suppose. Brendan Rodgers will want to bring in a standard of player similar, better than what Arne Engels is, what Paolo Bernardo is. And I think that the main focus that Brendan will be working on at this moment to bring in straight away is a striker, a winger, and somebody for defence. That's I think the positions that we'll be working on just now. They'll have contingency plans for if somebody comes in for Rio Hatate, right? We then go for Lennon Miller straight away. As soon as somebody phones and says, I'm going to give you 15 million for Rio Hatate, deal done, right? Lennon Miller, boom. Motherwell, there's your 8 million for Lennon Miller. We'll take him off your hands. And I think it'll be that quick. Celtic will play a waiting game, which I think is wrong. We'll be a totally different animal next season, both personnel and tactics. Steve Shaw says Palma, Ohm, Lagerbilke, Kuhn, Hatate, Maida, Welsh, Rocky, Taylor, Sloop, Kwon. And Jota injured, Scott Bain. That's a massive number of players gone, isn't it? It is going to be one of those seasons again where we do bring in squad players as well as first team standouts. We'll wait until the 28th before we spend, I reckon, Jesus, August, to see if we qualify for the Champions League. And I think Brendan, that would push Brendan over the I'm no fucking staying here next season for this bish. I think he wouldn't sign a contract extension then. I think it's going to be, this summer is definitely going to be a wait and see summer. Wait and see if Brendan signs a contract. If he doesn't sign a contract early, it means that Brendan is sitting waiting to see how the transfer action goes this summer, as far as I'm concerned. Lowell's not going to chasing the deal for the next Pope. That's why there's no bloody white smoke coming out the Sistine Chapel yet. See Lennon Miller chat. Let's drop it because it's not going to happen, said Lanky. Oh, Lanky said it's not going to happen. Jota being injured is a big letdown for us. His creativity is unmatched. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if we replace him. Can't keep up with who's still with us and who we've sold and who we want in. Probably an age thing, says Les Watt. The Huns can't outspend Celtic because of financial player play rules. Exactly. So don't worry about the scum. I'm not. Do you know what I'm waiting for? Sorry, lads. But the meltdowns of the summer is going to be Paul Baird if Greg Taylor signs a new contract, and it's going to be Lanky if Lennon Miller signs for Celtic. Oh, that. All right, lads. Oh man, that will be the funniest part of the summer if Greg Taylor signs a new contract with Celtic and Lennon Miller signs after Lanky saying he's not signing. He's not signing. Lennon Sword Manament is waiting for his first team place, not to be on the bench. Well, that rules out Lanky, right? See, on that premise, right? It rules him out going to Italy. because he's not going to go to a club in Italy at 18-year-old and get a first team spot on the bench. It rules him out going to England because he's not going to get a first team spot on the bench. Look what happened to Ben Doak at Liverpool. He was loaned out to someone else. You know, Celtic could buy him and they could use him. We'll wait and see. But I still think that the biggest, funniest meltdown of the season will be if Greg Taylor signs. Because Paul Baird about, I fucking hate yous all. And Lanky, if Miller signs for Celtic, Lanky will be like, I'm fucking not even telling you anything again. Bain, Sloop, Taylor, Rocky, Palmer, Hatate, Maida, Welsh, Kuhn, Kwan. 11 players out, 11 players in. Going to be some summer. Bologna, he's not going to get a game for Bologna. And they've no came looking for him, have they? Paul Baird says, I don't worry about that happening, Baz. Neither do I, but I'm just trying to fill some time whilst we're waiting on the smoke coming out of the Vatican. See if I come off air at 10 o'clock and the fucking smoke comes out of the Vatican about 5 minutes later. 165 votes. Come on, get voting. There's been over 750 people online this morning and there's only 166. Should Kasper Schmeichel walk back into the team? Now, you know when there's a slow news week in the media in Scotland, because stories get regurgitated. A couple of days ago, the Celtic Way, owned by the Herald newspaper group, managed to get some kind of interview with Derek Boyata. And that went through the Celtic blogs, who then just put their own spin on the story. And now this morning, the Daily Record has had its say. I had an infamous Celtic blew it. They've all got the same headlines. You know, they're all got the same headlines. So fair play to the Celtic Play and the Herald Group for getting the interview with Derek Boyata. Derek Boyata has opened up on the blowout it had with Brendan Rodgers in 2018. It was 2018, mate. Do you know what I mean? It's 2025. Who gives a flying fuck what happened in 2018 with Derek Boyata? Nobody. But you've got, obviously, the Herald Group, their online Celtic publication, the Celtic Way, come out with the story first and then everyone followed it. And I just thought I would follow. I mentioned that a couple of days ago and I thought, I'm not even going to fucking talk about it. It's like, who gives a shit? That's when you know there's no stories going about. But anyway, I thought that was funny this morning. For me, a problem with Miller isn't getting game time anywhere. I think that he's good. That's just my football opinion. But I'm certain on that. He would walk into our team. I think so. If Rio Hatate leaves this summer, your replacement is Lennon Miller. I'm very impressed with Lenny, especially his book, What Has to Be Done. Lanky says the same sign Boyata that used to love giving them penalties away in the Champions League was mostly, yeah. I have no idea. It's fucking. Who gives a fuck about Boyata? Do you know what I mean? But it'll be a little. Do you know what I mean? There'll be somebody at the Celtic Way in the Herald Group that'll get a little fucking slap on the back. Yes, everyone's stealing our story. Anyway, last 4 times we've been to Ibrox, staff attacked, Hart, Glass, O'Reilly, Buckfast bottle, Sinisalo, Buckfast bottle, nothing getting done. Yep. It isn't even a footnote in our history. I wish all ex-Celtic players well. Yeah, I wish the ex-Celtic players well. I just don't. It's funny when you watch these type of things online, especially when you're doing this kind of stuff. I mean, I understand that everyone's trying to get content and all the rest of it, but the fact that it kind of gets just swallowed up by everybody, it's funny. Still no smoke at the chapel in Rome. Yeah, I was wondering what you were on about Lennon. He was a dictator or not, wasn't he? Lennon Miller replacing Rio would be a great move, said Paul Bairds. I think it's a no-brainer, Paul. I definitely think it's a no-brainer. I think that would be... It would allow Arnie Engels and Rio Hitati. It would give them some competition. And let's face it as well, Callum McGregor is not getting any younger. He's not getting any younger. David Cook says, Lennon Miller will be the first 49er signing. Watch this space. Not a chance. Not a chance. They couldn't afford them. They're not going to start spending well, they've done it last season. They can't afford them. And if he goes to them, Jesus, he's not wanting to win anything, is he? He doesn't want to win anything if he goes to them. Stalin. Jesus God. Let me see if there's any news. Roy Keane, hilarious dig at Rangers. Who cares? Keane's a walloper. Roy Keane, the player who came to Celtic just so he could say, I played for Celtic, and he was shite. Absolute shite. 179 votes. Come on, we need just a little. We're not going to get to the 200, are we? We could stay on here all day and folk wouldn't vote. David says, Squares vs Mick, maybe not definitely, but someone with McGregor plays there all the time for Motherwell. He's a bit lightweight and tackle, etc. But you can add that. He's only a kid. He's only a kid. You've got to remember how rough and ready Scott Brown was as a kid. I think when you look at Scott Brown at the same age as what Lennon Miller is now, even Scott Brown said it. Scott Brown said it, and Paul Lambert said it also. Paul Lambert and Scott Brown both said that they think that Lennon Miller is ahead of them where they were at the same age. So I would listen to those two guys all day long, because that's two guys. Well, Paul Lambert's won the Champions League. You know, he's won the biggest cup of them all. He's done it. Keane was shite at Celtic, yeah, but it was majestic, the single game at the Bigotland. Lennon reminds me of Tom Rogic, plays the exact same way. Tom Rogic was just sublime. He was a player that a lot of people give him stick over the years, saying that he can't last 90 minutes. But he just floated with the ball, didn't he? He just floated with the ball. The ball just stuck to his feet like glue. It was cracking play. So glad that I was at the football when we had Tom Rogic. Just zooming in and out on the chapel. Come on, lads, I've been in there for a couple of hours now. Tea and biscuits finished. And get voting. No, Stuart, I think I'm just going to stay on. The missus isn't here today, so yeah, I've nothing else to do. just stay on here. Stay on here till the first white smoke comes up. Nice smoke yet, Bass. Petrov was terrible in his first season. Exactly. Petrov was rotten. Rank rotten his first year at Celtic. Rank rotten. What happened to Rogic? He went down to England, didn't get much game time. The dog's lying on the floor playing with a ball. You hear it? It's fucking happy as a pig in shit. It's managed to burst the ball. It's burst the ball, and it's now fucking going to shred it. Hey, what are you doing? You make a mess in here, you're fucking cleaning it up yourself. Miller's like Rogic, the way he flows with the ball, big guy, but his actually game is polar opposite. Rogic was a goal scorer and selfish. Miller is 100% first team player. David Cook says, mate, I love your channel. Just kidding around. Rangers, I've got more chance of signing Neil Lennon. Yeah, love that. Grabboy says, yeah, just stay on Bads. Did be as well. Nothing else happening. Stephen Johnson says, yes, mate. Stay on as long as you can. The hand of God has a hand around a pint in the airport. She does. She fucking texts me and says, where's the Budweiser bar in the airport? I'm like, fucking, I'm not even home yet. Not even home. She's no reply to me. Where's WhatsApp? He's an arsehole. She's an arsehole. Torremolinos. Gay capital of Europe. There's the. I should just put that picture up. She's got a cheek to having a fruit and a bottle of Budweiser on the top terrace at Alicante Airport. It's only because I told her about that bar. I shouldn't have told her about it. Yes, mate, stay on as long as you can. We're never going to find another backup striker as good as Gigi. I think Adam Ida's better than him, personally. 193 votes, we're getting there. I think Adam Ida's better than Guacamakis. If we need a six, then buy a real six. That's not Miller. That's 2 or 5 a day. Aye, 2 or 5 a day. Just fucking. I better reply to her. I should be like, this cunt's not replying to me. Oh, she's online. I'm going to say that you all say hi. What's wrong with that? She's not right in the head. She's not right in the head, honestly. She says hi back. Still too early. Baz, that's a good poll question. Adam or Gigi? Nah, because I think that Adam it's a null question, because you've got a player that wanted away from Celtic. He wanted to get away from Celtic because he couldn't stand being number 2 to Kyogo. You've got Adam Ida, who's a younger player who fucking loves being at Celtic. So for me, it's Adam Ida all day long. Hello, the hand of God. Budweiser with a wee fruit shoot chaser law. It's not a fruit shoot. I'll get the picture up. Where is it? What's up? She'll be watching. She's probably watching the video, but she'll not comment because then it'll give the channel away. Let me just get this picture up. She's an idiot. OBS, let's put up a new image. There it's there. It should be on the screen. And there it is. Oh dear. Put it up there. That's what she just sent me. An airport special. I don't know what the fruit's all about though. I mean, who eats like fruit and a beer? Fucking don't know what's wrong there. Definitely not right in the head. Ida's of the same leisure as the Ginger Boy Murray at Dundee. Oh, that's a bit of a slap down. Syracuse clips the 6 foot set hole made available for a couple of million. fruity beer, that's championship. uh, that was a year ago, Kaiser. That was a year ago next week, because it was. I remember watching the cup final. I remember watching the cup final in the hospital on a phone. I remember watching the cup final on the phone. Yeah. Right, let's get rid of that image. She's had enough time on here. Still no smoke in Rome. We're at 201 votes. End the poll. Forget. End the poll. Casper Schmeichel. Should Casper, we asked it a long time ago, an hour ago, at the start of the video, should Casper Schmeichel walk back into the first team? It's been released today that, it's been speculated today, it's not been released by Celtic, that he is looking to be fit and ready for the Scottish Cup final. And so it begs the question, should he walk straight back into the team after how well Sinisalo has been doing? Kaiser says, doesn't feel like that. It was long ago, but yeah, no, it was a year ago, mate. A year ago. Anyway. It's not, yeah. We'll leave it at that. I will leave it at that. If I had to sell Hisati, I'd sign Miller, I'd do it. Said Liam. Oof. The mainstream media reporters at a certain Celtic websites. Olympiacos have reportedly officially informed Celtic that they will not be taking up their option to buy for Lewis Palma. So Lewis Palma will be looking for a new club, thanks to the Herald Group and the Celtic Way for releasing that already. Palma was part of the Greek Titles Club winning celebrations at the weekend, but they do not want to buy him for the 3.5 million. They don't want him for 3.5 million. Reports in Greece have stated that they have informed Celtic that Palma will return to Glasgow when his loan deal expires after the final game of the season. Well, there we go. That answers a lot of questions. Give keepers a half each. Give keepers a half each in the final. Nah, that never works at a final. You've got to go with the man that's in form. And I think it's a disservice. I still think it's a disservice to Sinisalo. You've got a guy that's in form, that's made some cracking saves, that obviously has the trust of the defence and everything. And I think here's an option for you. I think that he passes the ball out quicker. He'll do a long throw when he needs to. He doesn't go for the easy option and just playing it out the back all the time. You know, he mixes it up a bit. He's well worth 3.5 and he'll go to the Championship for 4. Palma lacks pace, said some of the commenters. Everyone give him for 1 million and get him away. I think Celtic were just trying to recoup the money, but we know that was they told Palma about a month ago that they weren't going to take up the option to buy. So it's not exactly breaking news, is it? I mean, Palma's known for over a month that he wasn't going to come back. He wasn't going to stay at Olympiacos, and his agent was currently trying to get him a new club. Square Sausage Mix says Lennon Miller's not that fast. You know who we may want to look up in a couple of years when Kalmak retires? Awata. That would be a disaster because we let him go. We let him go for £1 million. Do you know, it's unbelievable that we let Awata go for such a limited amount of cash. Yes. Yeah, you're right, Liam. Signing wingers with no pace. That's just the Celtic way. Oh, Celtic are hosting a Republic of Ireland under-17 international on trial at Lennoxtown. 16-year-old lad, I would say don't sign because you're not going to get fucking near the first team. How do you convince these younger players to come to Celtic when so many players, and people say they're just not of the standard? We don't seem to be making. This fucking youth team does my head in. Yeah. Maybe Palmer will come back focused. His form dropped when the Aussie coach went to Japan. Watt hit the ground running at Birmingham. He didn't just hit the ground running. He retained control. He got player of the season and everything, didn't he? That's where Rodgers comes in. Has Brendan Rodgers dramatically improved? Here's a question for you this morning. Has Brendan Rodgers dramatically improved any specific player this season? Because we don't really. I mean, I know that Sinisalo's been given game time. Arne Engels has been given game time, but has Arne Engels improved as a player? Or has he always just been at that standard? There's not really been every season over the last couple of seasons, there's been, I mean, you could say Dyson Maida has improved this season. Dyson Maida scoring more goals. That's the one standout player that's really improved this season, is Dyson Maida. So yeah, I suppose, yeah. Brendan Rodgers keeps talking about giving youth players a chance and then doesn't give them a chance. I think he was disappointed, Paul. I think him and John Kennedy, when you seen them sitting in the stadium for the youth game, when you see them sitting in the stadium at the youth game, they looked very unimpressed with the standard of football. They looked very unimpressed. But then again, if I was sitting next to John Kennedy somewhere, I'd look fucking unimpressed too, because he's a morbid fucker. He is a morbid fucker. Kind of never smiles, does he? This fucking Kennedy just sits there. He's going to be one of these cunts that we at Celtic till he's about fucking 180. Palmer is a bit greedy and lightweight, not good enough for the SPFL or Europe. Who would seriously argue Kuhn's improvement has been transformational? I think the fact that Kuhn got the pre-season under Celtic this season, Brendan Rodgers always speaks about it. You get a pre-season under Celtic. A lot of people saying Yang and Maida, McCowan. Has McCowan got better, or is he just the same standard he was at Dundee? Because he was pretty good at Dundee, and technically, he was. Brendan Rodgers said technically he was the best midfielder in the league before he came to Celtic. Palmer was found out quickly. He thought he just had to turn up. Yep. McGregor gets better and better every year for me. How many goals in open play and deep line midfielder? 10. Yep. Got to be some kind of record. That's true, actually. It does put him up there with the Paul Lamberts. I think Burley scored a lot of goals for midfield as well. Paul Lambert, Burley, Petrov. Do you know? I think we're going to really miss Callum McGregor when he goes. Maida kind of let us down with his last shot at Ibrox, but I'm not holding it against him. He's been phenomenal this season. Kuhn was doing great until his wisdom tooth grew back in. Paul Ware says it's all just spin. It is all just spin from Brendan Rodgers. He got a pre-season and Rodgers improved him. He wasn't scoring in the Champions League games or banging in double digits goals even in Austria. I don't think that he was getting the game time that he's now getting at Celtic in Austria. Why is Kennedy even there? He's getting the same at Celtic as Scott Bain. I don't think he's getting the wages that Scott Bain's getting. McGregor plays more like Lennon. Gets double-digit goals and returns, unheard of. Doesn't get the credit he or Rodgers deserves. Remember, Rodgers found him as a wee right winger. Yep, that's true. He was a right winger. But then he came into sort of right hand in the midfield. But yeah, who's Scott Bain? Yep. Seems like the players really like Brendan. Of course they do. He's the type of manager that motivates you, that wants you to do the best you can. I mean, he's not been at the clubs that he's been at if he's a bad manager. Do you know what I mean? He is classed as an older manager at the game. And like I said, when I was down in Torrox last week, I was speaking to a guy who was best mates. She's laughing there. She's been watching the videos. What time does her flight take off? Can't even remember. 11:50. Oh, fucking ages yet. Ages. Joys of City Airports. Scott Bain is the luckiest man in the team, gets paid to train. Yep. I thought Turnbull would have been captain when he first signed. David Turnbull's a player that never really improved much. And I think that was the issue with Turnbull. He hit a ceiling. David Turnbull hit a ceiling and never really got past that. And I think that's what kind of let him down as a player. He was of a good level, but he never really improved. Anyway. I thought Turnbull would have been a good player. I've done that one. Liam says timing was rough for him. Turnbull was an instinctive player. Yeah, I think having KT in the team is going to be such a step up for us. Will it though? Will it? I mean, how much can KT really bring to the team that's not there already? I fail to see how. I mean, he's obviously a potential. He's the number one choice to take over captaincy from Callum McGregor, due to the fact that he's way younger. He's only 20. What is he? 27, 28. Tierney. So it'll be interesting to see the next few years. Turnbull was never going to be captain. I don't think he was captain material, but I thought he could have done better at Celtic. Right, I'm going to wrap the video up. There's no smoke coming out of the Vatican. I'm going to go and grab some food. Might go grab some food, do some gardening. Might come back on but just after lunchtime. And if not, I don't know, is it going to? I can't even do 9 o'clock tonight. I can't do 8 o'clock tonight because I'm going to have to come on earlier today because I've got to go to the airport to pick up my brother. I need to go to the airport at 8 o'clock Celtic Park time, so we'll need to do a live earlier on. Keep an eye out on the channel. KT brings example for the group. How can you carry yourself just in the game and minutes. He's the guy Engels can look at and do what he does. Not too sure. We'll wait and see. Anyway, have an absolutely fantastic day, Celtic fans, wherever you are, all around the world. Remember, it is called the One Celtic Fans View, and it's all about getting your view across, and that's why we'll have so much chat with the comment section. No Pope as yet. Live feed coming from the Vatican, and the missus is still sitting at the airport eating fruit with a beer. She's not even had breakfast. How'd the other half live? How'd the other half? Good morning, Lorna. That's the first time I've seen you today. Anyway, on that note, catch you.